Hi, my name is Rachel Brewster and welcome to Humor in Heels. I have decided to start the carnivore diet, and so I thought I would just kind of document things so that I can remember them as I go along, because it's really easy to not see progress over time or not remember why you started something. So I guess I'm just kind of doing this for myself, and if you stumbled along it, cool. Okay, so in this video, I want to talk about how I found out about the carnivore diet and why it was appealing or interesting to me. And then as I start on this, what are my top questions or goals of starting this diet and why I would. So, very first, how it came to my attention was honestly in a really random way. Their steak was on sale at Coburn's, and I was like, oh, we haven't had steak in a really long time. And I let my family know, and we picked some up and had it at the cabin for dinner, me and the fam. And then that night we were having s'mores around the campfire, and for the first time I wasn't usually when we're having s'mores and making the marshmallows, I'm thinking to myself, I shouldn't have one. I shouldn't have one. I really want one, but I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't. So don't do it. And so I had that internal monologue where you're fighting yourself. And for the first time, I wasn't doing that. I was genuinely just okay with being there. And I didn't notice that I didn't have that mental fight in my head until my mom broke off a piece of Hershey bar and handed it to me. And I reflexively just put a hand up and was like, no, I'm good. And that was when I noticed, because if you know me, you know I do not say no to chocolate. That's not a thing. Who says no to chocolate? And it wasn't even that I was no, I shouldn't have that. I was genuinely no, I'm good. And that was such a disconnect from how my brain and body and cravings usually work that I genuinely, that was when I noticed I'm not craving the s'more that's sitting next to me that my nephews are grilling up. And it made me think about why, and I wondered if it was because of the steak that we'd had for dinner. Because the carnivore diet was in my peripheral vision. Like many people that I think started the carnivore diet, they've heard of Michaela Peterson, and I heard her interview with Joe Rogan, and my response at the time, a couple of years ago, was holy cow, woman, your body is fucked. Sucks to be you. What an incredible journey and experience. And it was just incredibly riveting to listen to her story. But I also thought to myself, you are a really unique human being, and the carnivore diet is right for you. But most people of the population, like me, no, that doesn't make sense. But then when I had that reaction with the steak, where I had the steak and then didn't want dessert afterwards, it made me go, maybe I should dig into this a little bit more. So then I listened to Sean Baker on Joe Rogan. Honestly, I didn't really like that interview. Sorry if you're Sean Baker and you see this video. I just wasn't drawn to it. But I did go onto his MeatRx website, which I think is now Renovo Health. I don't know why they relabeled it. Isn't MeatRx such a better name than Renovo? I think it's Renovo. Anyway, I don't know why they changed it, but if you go on to MeatRx, it'll still route you to the right place. And I read a whole bunch of transformation stories that were people who are in this deep, dark place of obesity and autoimmune issues, blah, blah, blah. And they tried literally flipping everything. And they were so desperate that when they came upon the carnivore diet, they thought it was crazy, but I'll give it a try. And then they had these massive results and were able to go off a whole bunch of medications, blah, 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 right? Any transformation story that you read on any diet. And I loved reading them, because who doesn't love stories, and who doesn't in particular love transformation stories, right? The hero is struggling in the deep, dark place, and then they discover Yoda, and he leads them to the light and the force and the good, whatever. This is literally why we watch movies. So I loved reading those stories. But also as I was reading them, I thought, yeah, but like, aren't you gonna also read all of these transformation stories on a vegetarian or vegan website? Like, they're curated, right? Of course. So then I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, well, the carnivore dieters saying eat only meat, and I'm sure vegan people would be like, what do they do? Only eat plants. Yeah. And both are claiming that it's true. Of course, the carnivores would say, well, we've got a bunch of ex-vegans and ex-vegetarians over here who, after a couple of years on the vegan or vegetarian diet, experience some really serious medical issues, and these people don't really have anybody who used to be carnivore. Anyway, my point is, you could find a transformation story that claimed that either of these diets was the best one. So, like, how do you really do it? I mean, the carnivore diet's pretty extreme, right? And I thought, well, I guess I'm only going to really know if I try it. And so at first I wasn't really sure. I was like, I don't know. And so I refocused my breakfast and lunch to being more meat heavy. And then I had Labor Day weekend, and I thought to myself, after Labor Day, they want you to do the carnivore diet for like 30 days and see if it works for you. And I thought, well, if ever there were a time to do it, it would be now, right? Because there are no holidays in September. I don't have any big get-togethers. Like, so it wouldn't be tempting or it wouldn't be difficult to do it now. Whereas if I did it in November and then Thanksgiving's coming up and then Christmas, blah, 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 blah. I was like, if you're gonna do it, like, do it now. So that is why I decided to try out the carnivore diet and take the mentality that it's an experiment. All right, so that's how I found out about the carnivore diet and why I found it interesting. Step 2 of this video, second section, is like the questions that I have. I guess you could label them goals, but they're not really goals because it's an experiment, right? So I just more like have questions. I have 5. Number 1, how will this change my body? Because I think it will. I'm just not sure how. If I have the video superpowers at my fingertips, I will figure out how to put photos of my body up here. And if I'm able to do that, this is when you say, ooh, look at the magic of putting a photo on a video. Welcome to 2021, Rachel. You should think I would have these skills, but I don't know if I do. Sorry. Okay, so how will this change my body? The reason that I'm putting up these photos is like I guess you could call it a before photo, but I'm genuinely curious because for the last 6 months, I've had a pretty consistent workout routine. I lift weights 3 days a week, and I do a HIIT cycle class once a week for sure, sometimes twice a week. And then in addition to that, I'll like take a walk for an hour, play pickleball for an hour, hour and a half, blah, blah, blah. Additionally, my diet is pretty good, right? So for both lunch and dinner, I usually eat chicken and avocado and like barbecue sauce. And then for dinner, I'll have something more substantial. And the reason I do chicken and avocado is because I'm thinking like protein and fat, right? Problem is I never feel like truly satiated. I'm just trying to get through my day because I'm busy. I have work. What are you going to do? And then when my mom comes home, because I currently live with my mom, this is her beautiful home, we will actually have dinner together. And then, so my diet's pretty good, right? Calorically. I would say if there's any knock against me, it's that after dinner, I feel like I need to be, like I do want a dessert. So I end up eating usually an apple and usually with honey and peanut butter or cashew butter, which I know are calorically dense. Is that what's messing me up? Or is it, the once a month, every other month get together with girlfriends where I don't really totally pay attention to what I eat. But they say that if you eat well, 80 to 90% of the time. Okay, here's my question. We saw the photos of me, right? I have a pretty athletic build. To me, my body doesn't look like the person whose life I described, right? Lifts weights 3 times a week, hit cycle classes, pickleball, walking. I don't look at those photos and go, like, if I was an objective person and I walked by Rachel on the street, I don't know that I would say, like, yeah, that girl definitely lifts. Do you know what I mean? Or is that because I'm so used to seeing Instagram models and whoever else that have been overly photoshopped so they don't even look like themselves, and I'm comparing myself to an unrealistic standard? Okay, I've rambled enough on number 1. The question is it going to change my body, and if so, how? Okay, number 2, neck pain. So I'm 34. I keep waking up with like a crick in my neck. The last time I woke up with a crick in my neck, it was so bad, I had to go to the chiropractor 3 times to get full range of motion back in my neck just from sleeping. And yes, I have tried other pillows. So I'm hoping that this actually is something that's chronic and I can treat with diet and it'll just magically go away. Did I mention I've tried other pillows? I can't remember. Anyway. Number 3, and this is TMI, but to be honest, I really think I'm the only person who's going to be seeing this video, so who cares? Number 3 curiosity is if and how this will change my cycle. So my flow state is 7 to 9 days. Yes, really. Every time I tell a girlfriend that, they like jaw drop because their flow state is like 3 days. The longest I've heard is like 5. I'm 7 to 9 consistently. It's not normal. It is normal. It's normal in that it's normal for me, but it's not typical. But I've always just been like, what are you gonna do? That I'm not so annoyed by because I'm used to it. What really is frustrating for me is the time between flow states, your cycle, right? They're like, oh, you have a 28-day cycle. The first day of your last period to the blah, blah, blah is 28 days. The fuck it is. I tracked my cycle for 2 years, and the time between periods was either 24 days, was a range, not either, a range of either of 24 days or 42 days. Meaning, I have absolutely no idea when my period's coming. It's just like, hello, at the most inconvenient time. And then I don't have anything because I'm not prepared, because I'm like, well, I thought you were going to be 42 this time, and this time you're 24, and now I'm up in Duluth and need to borrow something from a random girlfriend. Like, I heard a podcaster say once, a guy, he was talking about being efficient. And he was like, even women with their cycles, like, just put it on your calendar so you don't have to worry about it. Bro. I really like that guy, but it was the only time in my life that I wanted to say to somebody, stay in your lane. Step off. Okay, so number 1, how will it change my body? Number 2, is it going to get rid of my neck pain that I don't feel like I should have it in my 30s? 3, how will it change my cycle? 4, this is a big one, cravings and willpower. So my girlfriends are all athletic and generally slender. And what I've noticed about them is they seem to have like a stop feature when they're eating food. I don't have that at all. And especially with, say, chocolate. My mom makes this joke about herself. She's like, oh, my diet is seafood. I see food and I eat it. And I'm not dissimilar. I always want food. I don't know. And that's something that I noticed in the last year I don't know why. I think COVID and being in your home, I started paying attention to things. I was just noticing that after dinner, I was more hungry than before dinner. That's messed up. Why is that? And I thought because it was COVID that like, well, maybe I'm trying to like self-soothe and it's more of an emotional thing than an actual craving thing. But I don't know. I don't know. It is really, it kind of goes back to the s'mores thing where it's like, if there's food around, I'm just like thinking about it and I want it. And like, there's really like, if I buy, do you know Barks chocolate? Especially like dark chocolate with pretzels. Get the fuck out of here. It's amazing. Yeah, like if I buy like a small bag, it's probably, God, a couple thousand calories probably. And I'll think to myself like, oh, just have one or two. Good joke. Good. The bag's gone. The bag's gone. And so I either need to not buy it, or something I've done in the past is only eat a few and then throw it away as I'm leaving Target where I bought it. So is that because I'm weak-willed? Because a lot of people that I was reading these transformation stories on the carnivore diet were talking about how they thought they didn't have any willpower, but it was actually a diet thing. I don't know. I haven't fully wrapped my brain around that one. So it's really just an open question, and I hope it makes sense because I feel like I've rambled enough. So I'm going to move on. Okay. How will it change my body? Neck pain, period, cravings, and willpower. Number 5, sleep. I've always been one of those people who, like, I can sleep through anything. Like, it's my superpower. Yeah. Like if it was a contest, I would win hands down. But something I've always noticed about myself is that I need 9 hours of sleep consistently. And I meet people who only need like 5 or 7, or they say a healthy range is 7 to 9. And I'm like, will this change my sleep? So I guess that's just a curiosity, and because I like having 5 rather than 4. 3 is better than 5. 5 is better than 4. Jazz hands. Okay, so how will this change my body, neck pain, period, cravings, and sleep? If I had to guess, I would say that I'm most curious about how will this change my body. That one, if I look like a babe out of the blue, I'll be like, damn, I will stay on this diet for the short term, right? Like nobody stays on a diet for aesthetic reasons if it's not satiating or pleasing. But long term, like if I could, honestly, neck pain. If this makes my neck pain go away, I would genuinely consider being on this diet long term, because I'm a pretty peppy person. I don't know if you noticed. But let me tell you, when you wake up a couple of days in a row and you wake up in pain, you turn into a bitch real fast. Maybe it's just me. Is it just me? Okay. So yeah, those are my thoughts about how the carnivore diet came into it was running in the background of my life, and then it kind of like showed up as an opportunity to experiment. And so I've decided to experiment because it's September and it seems like that timing works out pretty well. And then to see if the experiment fails or succeeds, I have these 5 little metrics. How will it change my body, neck pain, period, cravings, and sleep? We shall see.